You're listening to RTL SA.
OMD and Enola Gay for you on RTL SA.
It's amazing that she's been very quiet for a while about unbanning the cigarette, but I think she still have to go to court on the 22nd of June.
That is absolutely correct, Daniel. A number of South Africans are eagerly awaiting the High Court judgment surrounding South Africa's ban on the sale of cigarettes. And I'll tell you what, I receive messages on a daily basis from people wanting to know what's happening because it is a very important issue and we're all waiting for answers and we just have got no answers. Now, the case was brought against the government by the Fair Trade Independent Tobacco Association, FITA, which argued that the banning of the sale of cigarettes is irrational, while government argued that smoking could lead to an increase in coronavirus cases and even death. FITA said that this is not an issue that is limited to cigarettes, obviously citing things like diabetes and things like that as well. The judgment is set to be emailed to the parties, with FITA warning misleading messages circulating on social media have incorrectly stated that the judgment has been handed down. Saying for FITA, we have been made aware of a number of communications doing the rounds on social media platforms claiming that the Pretoria High Court has made a ruling on the cigarette ban matter. This is not correct and is misleading. That was according to FITA. We will make the necessary announcement once we are in receipt of the judgment from the Pretoria High Court. We thank you as always for your continued support throughout the entire period. Now, in a separate matter, Die Burger newspaper reports that government has missed its deadline to file a reply to a similar challenge being brought by British American Tobacco, and that matter is set to be heard on the 22nd, I believe, which is next week. So, will we get the judgment before then? Who knows? It is a waiting game at the moment. But I tell you what, 1 week down, you would think that they would have made a decision regarding it already. And the fact that they haven't released that judgment makes you wonder if there isn't something else at play here. Because based on what we saw on television and have read in media since the hearing, it seemed to be a pretty clear-cut case with regards to the tobacco ban being irrational. And, I don't want to go out on a limb and predict a verdict, but the FITA's case was far more thorough and well prepared than the government's case. And I think that, anybody just reading what happened will agree with me. But you never know. It's with the courts at the moment, and we are waiting for that hearing and that judgment to be handed down. Now, government is facing a number of court challenges as businesses, opposition parties, and individual South Africans take issue with the country's lockdown regulation. On Wednesday today, opposition parties, the Freedom Front Plus, will approach the High Court in Pretoria to challenge the constitutionality of the Disaster Management Act and the decision to declare a national state of disaster. Business Day reports that this will be the first court's challenge to the constitutionality of the legislation, which is being used as a framework for COVID-19 lockdown. The DA also plans to approach the Constitutional Court directly, which will focus on the lawlessness and rationality of the National Coronavirus Command Council, NCCC, which I, in my main story on Monday, covered and very boldly said is fucking pointless, because they are. The NCCC is a useless organization at the moment, and the fact that Lamini Zuma has gone undercover and we can't get anything out of her also says that I think the validity of that organization is being questioned, maybe within government's ranks as well. The case, which was brought by a group of citizens, focused on a number of issues around the NCCC, including whether it is constitutionally valid. There is no provision in the Constitution, there is no provision in the Disaster Management Act that confers a power on the President and or Cabinet to establish a committee like the NCCC. This is what the group argued. Judgment in this case was reserved and will be handed down at a later stage as well. So, the courts are keeping us waiting, and we are waiting patiently while they all make up their minds as to whether or not the lockdown is constitutional. And how many people had to stay sober for all those weeks? My goodness.
RTL SA.